Welcome in, friends and future friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever you're watching, however you're watching. Whether you're watching on the YouTube channel, you're watching on my Twitter page. This is the Sports and the World podcast. And listen, no introduction needed, but I'm gonna do my job. You know, you see who's here. I always say one of my favorite people to have on this show, definitely in the top three. I'm not gonna say number one because I like to be fair to other people, but I like to be fair. But it's the one and only, my favorite attorney, your favorite attorney, the always amazing and wonderful Hailee Murphy. Welcome back to the show. And she's the co-host because if I get out of line, she'll just take over. and how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I love being on. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Like the Cubs, I'm like, we're in. So I'm like, I'll take it. We're in. Like, do we need to win the division? Could we win the division? Sure. I'm not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that. Milwaukee, I'm sure is a fine town. Probably, maybe I'm not trying to start another America. Listen, we have enough going on as is. But welcome into the show. Lots to get to on the sports front. NFL. Yeah, I got my Browns big bets. I actually named the segment. I don't know where. At welcome, like, oh, that sounds it's alliterative, and we'll put it on there, and it works. But first, we want to talk about baseball season winding down. For a lot of teams, we're 159, and I talked about I talked about the AL MVP race. I talked about Cal Raleigh versus Aaron Judge, and I made the case kind of maybe Cal could edge from the statistical standpoint. 60 home runs makes me look pretty good right now. But before we get there, I want to talk about the playoffs and still a couple of things to be decided. And listen, I don't want to be that guy. I said before the show I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to be the guy. But
go ahead.
Tigers and then the Guardians. It feels like a Freaky Friday situation. The last 10 games, Detroit 1-9, Cleveland somehow 9-1, and then I saw the post that people were talking about, oh, this Screwball's fun. I'm like, folks, we gotta calm down. Like, calm down. It's just a matter of listen. There will be playoffs in Detroit. We just don't know whether it's going to be wearing AL Central caps or we're just going to go into the top. Like it felt like the tortoise in the hare. Like Detroit's got this. And when you were on previously, you talked about like one of your concerns was like the back end of the rotation. I think was like a major concern there. But I'm curious to get your thoughts on the MLB playoff picture. Feel free to talk about the Tigers, AL Central, and whatever comes to your mind about the playoffs.
I'll get the Tigers out of the way so we can move on. Yeah, it is a bummer. I said, if we didn't attack before the trade deadline, that it would really bite us in the ass. And look what happened. We played well all season, but the issue is other teams got better. We stayed the same, and that's just not good enough. Yeah, Cleveland, it's brutal. It's brutal. But it's almost like the situation kind of flipped from last year. I don't know if you remember, but we actually had a show together the same night that the Tigers clinched a playoff berth for the first time in 10 years. And that was the most exciting day for me as a sports fan in a long time. And literally, it's like a year ago almost to the day. And to see where I'm at now and where the Tigers are at now, it's really disappointing. But again, I think myself and a lot of other Tigers fans could have expected that this was going to happen. Didn't think it would happen this brutally, especially not to Cleveland either, or against Cleveland. But it is what it is. We're here. We need this win tonight. If we don't get this win, we got to pray we can make it into a wild card spot, and hopefully that and just hope that we'll kind of get our spark back for October. But I'm kind of on the pessimist side right now. I'm not really confident in this team. It really isn't the team. The players, I feel like they've done their job. We've had some hiccups. A lot of people want to blame Scoob for the game the other day, Tuesday. But I'll be honest, the past 2 seasons, a lot of our games have ridden on Scoob's back. So it was bound to happen. He's going to have mess ups. He's going to have bad games. And unfortunately, one of those games happened in a must-win situation. He also, freak accident, the David Fry incident. Of course, that's going to shake any pitcher up. It wasn't our night. If our offense could back him up a little bit, that would be great. If our bullpen can back him up a little bit, that would be great. But again, our guys are playing their hearts out and they're doing their job, but it just isn't good enough with the teams that we're playing and trying to compete against. But outside of the Tigers and that depressing story, I'm really loving the Mariners. I'm really loving watching Cal Riley just be astronomical and set all these records. And honestly, I know you've said it, and I think we've talked about, the last time I was on here, we talked about how well catchers are doing this season and that it's a historical season for catchers, and this is why. He has my vote if it mattered for MVP, for AL MVP. I think that it's just remarkable what we've gotten to watch this season. And I think the Mariners are, kind of coasting in the right direction. I could absolutely see them in the World Series. I could see them winning the World Series. With that being said, I also, no offense, I'm sorry, I'm happy the Cubs are making it, but I would love to see the Brewers make a push and kind of, I wouldn't say defy odds because their odds are decent, but I would say expectations and make it to the World Series. I would love to see the Mariners, if not the Tigers, and the Brewers kind of battle it out. I think that would be fun. I think it would kind of give us a break of all of these, powerhouse and dynasty franchises coming in year after year, Chiefs with the NFL, you've got the Dodgers and even the Phillies, I'd say. So let's kind of have some fun and give some other teams. It'd be exciting to see some other teams play for it. And I don't know. I'm enjoying the season outside of the Tigers' downfall for sure.
Yeah, listen, the whole Cubs thing, listen, I understand because there was a point in the season where I was like, oh man, we were top of first place, and I said, I don't know if we can hold it. I'm like, and this is me, like, I still felt we were a playoff team. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not like, I wasn't abandoning ship, but I'm like, I had similar concerns about the back end of our rotation as well. I'm like, because to me, and it's easy to say in retrospect, but like when it came to the whole Matt Shaw thing, and people are like, oh, should you? I said that, listen, we should have traded for Devers. I'm like, especially when I saw what the Giants gave up. I'm like, and you're telling me that, you tell me Boston wouldn't have took the deal that if we had Matt Shaw like right there, and some people like, and then Matt Shaw happened to, was hot, I think before the trade deadline. Yeah. And people were like, oh no, we got to keep Matt Shaw. And I'm like, yep. To me, I was like that guy in like that Norman Rockwell painting who just stood up and said, we got to I seen Devers, and I'm like, that guy is a shirt. Like, I'm not knocking Matt Shaw, but I'm like, that would have gave me more confidence with the lineup. And listen, the way the Mets offense has been, against the Mets, this series against the Mets, I'm like, okay, maybe the Cubs offense is great after all. It's like, maybe I still stand by the Devers thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, I'm not crawling down that hill. I'm like, I still feel good, but. So looking in the chat here, we got John. How you doing, John? My tribal chief. There you go. Listen, we'll talk, Paul. Yeah. But we got Miss Christie coming in afternoon. How are you, Miss Christie? But listen, I kind of hold the same sentiments. I talked about it maybe 2 shows ago, where I talked about like the AL and NL MVP races, and I kind of, for the NL side, I still feel that it's going to be Ohtani, even though I wouldn't mind Schwarber. I wouldn't mind it, given a former Cub bias. I always said that I always loved his bat. His defense different story. But thank God for the DH. Like because it's like you take a guy who's not great, not great fielder, great bat. That's Kyle Schwarber. And I'm like, he like from that left side, one of the best left-handed hitters in the game, in my opinion. But I looked at the AL situation and I went, I don't think it's a slam dunk to me that Aaron Judge is the MVP. And how we judge MVPs, I don't think it's this, especially in baseball, is the same way we kind of do it for the NFL and NBA. Because I made a case, and I get your thoughts. I looked at the NBA and I went, well, for the NBA, it's kind of different because especially in the years that Jokic won it, Jokic and Jan, it's like there were certain years where if you lead in certain categories, your team is doing great, you're going to get it. But there was like specific criteria. And I talked about like wins above replacement. I talked about like these nerdy stats. And it's like, that's what matters. To me, it's like how you impact your team. And basically, how would your team perform if you weren't out there? Like if the number's pretty, it's like, man, this team's going to be terrible. I'm like, that shows value to me because like, they need you in the lineup. They need you to be out there and be productive. But I'm curious to get your thoughts on an AL MVP race, Cy Young race, which in the AL, it's pretty much, I don't want to say running unopposed. I don't want to like I'm saying running unopposed, but it feels like it's running unopposed. But people can run. Like, don't get me wrong. I believe in democracy. You can run. I mean, you're going to win, but you can run. But so I'm curious to get your thoughts on the AL and AL on the Major League Baseball awards races and your thoughts on all of them, or if we just want to share about a couple of ones.
Yeah, I like I mentioned earlier, I if my vote mattered and counted for anything, it would definitely be for Cal Riley. I mean, think about it. He leads in home runs and RBIs in AL hitters. He's a powerhouse catcher. I mean, his just the way that he's able to kind of navigate that position and be useful to his team in that way. I mean, he's been having statistically a historical record behind the plate. So when you think about it, would he, we talked about this with SGA, like would the team be where they're at without him? I don't think so. And that's like we talk about all the time. That's our criteria, mine and yours. And I think that should be what the most valuable player should be, kind of judged on. So I'm all in for Cal Riley. I do think Ohtani's going to get the MVP votes for the NL. It's just kind of, he's the golden boy of the MLB. It's just how it's going to happen. I've accepted it. That's, that it just is what it is. But yeah, I think Cal Raleigh's having a historic year, and really excited to see what he does in October.
Yeah, it's. I'm also curious about that too. Be like you mentioned, like the Mariner story is always fascinating to me. Like this was a franchise that they won 100 games, and we thought that this, and then things happened. And it's a franchise to think about. Like it's a great fan base, and like to have like Cal Raleigh to do what he's done, like 60. And you talked about the catcher position. You I think you kind of called this the last time you were on the show. It's like we're seeing the evolution of certain positions. It's kind of like in the NBA, where like we saw the evolution of the big man able to take threes. Like you couldn't say that 15, 20 years ago. And I feel that with catchers, it's like, oh man, it's a very tough position to play. And it's like, and to get any sort of production from there, it would be ideal. But the fact that Cal Raleigh has hit 60 home runs, and it's just like this season for him, it's hard for me to kind of say, like, how do you not? And I understand that Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge, but when I look at key numbers, and I always talk about key numbers, when it comes to wins above replacement, and then when it comes to position players in that same situation, and offensive wins above replacement, here's the thing. Aaron Judge, and they're literally 1 and 2 in all three of those categories. And it's like Aaron Judge lead. Listen, same thing with slugging percentage, on base plus slugging. they're 1-2. So if you're and like you, if you had my vote, I'd be like, sometimes you get fatigued, like, oh man, we got to give it to Aaron Judge because he's Aaron Judge. It's like I kind of felt that way, like NBA and NFL for some years. NFL, we've had multiple, like the Peyton Manning won it, what's 5 times, like. But I feel like for Major League Baseball, I don't think we got to the point of like voter fatigue. But it's like, man, do we give it to Aaron? Or because like I think on the NL, like if they Otani, like the two position thing doesn't, it factors in, but like his offense is just as great up against the best of them.
Right.
But this particular season, it's like, how do I make a case? I could make a case where Cal Raleigh could win MVP, but in every statistical category, only one guy's above him in pretty much every offensive category, and that's Aaron Judge. And that's what makes it difficult. And more importantly, he plays catcher. And it's not a position where I can't recall the last time a catcher even won MVP. I don't think it's ever happened. I could be wrong. I'll look it up. I'll have a research team. But that's how it's like, do they want to go that route? I wouldn't, it's very, very tough to me. But I'm like you. I'm in a situation where I'm like, I just want to give it to Cal. Because like both the Yankees and the Mariners, they're both in the playoffs. They're both valuable to, and the number, like I said, wins above replacement to me is a huge deal. Because if you take them out the lineup, you're going to see the difference.
Yep.
Because there's no player you could put in that is going to match the impact of Judge or Raleigh. And I argue make the case for Raleigh because the catcher position.
Exactly.
Like, great hitting catchers we don't see all the time. We see them hit for average, but in terms of like for power, like we don't see it, and that's what makes it unprecedented to me.
Yep.
And so I don't know. I'm kind of along those lines where I'm like, I can rationalize Otani. I'm like, fine, okay, but like if you're a voter, like I can see votes kind of swing toward Raleigh. I really do. I'm not saying that. Like the key is obviously the first place votes and where they go. Right. I kind of feel it's going to be a split room. So I'm kind of like, well, who do people do you have in one or two? That's what's going to boil down to as a writer. And it's going to be quite the interesting situation down the road. Now, staying with one more thing in baseball that's got me interested is I'm curious to get your thoughts. Is there a team or teams that you had greater, outside of the great Detroit Tigers, outside of them, like in terms of expectations, what team or teams exceeded your expectations as the season's winding down, and what kind of teams kind of were like on the low end and kind of just went below what you expected entering the season?
Yeah, so we've talked before. I'm a Braves fan outside of the Tigers. They definitely missing the playoffs for the first time in a while is kind of a bummer. So for me, they underperformed, but I think that in the eye of the general public, they probably performed just about how everybody expected them to this season. Again, the Tigers, the Guards really going into this season, I knew they would be contenders against the Tigers, at least for in the Central. But the beginning of the season, I started to have doubts in their abilities, but they caught wind at the right time, just like the Tigers did last season, and they're picking up. So I guess I could say that maybe they met and exceeded my expectations at least. But yeah, I mean, Rockies, my expectations were slightly higher. I didn't think that they could suck that bad, but however, they played well against some good teams this season and blew some teams out of the water. So I guess you could say, they exceeded some expectations in that sense. But I guess also the Pirates. I was hoping that Paul Skeens would kind of get some run support, but that didn't happen. I would like to see him in a Tigers uniform wearing that old English D next season, but who knows? Yeah. I think in terms of exceeding my expectations outside of the Guardians, the Brewers, I knew they would be good. I didn't know that I would have this much faith in them. My faith and confidence grew in them throughout the season. So yeah, they definitely exceeded my expectations as well. But I think this season has been really fun. Just in terms of being a fan of baseball, I feel like a lot of historical things have happened, and a lot of underdogs have hit like the right stride at the right time this season. So the wild card race is heating up, and I don't know. I think it's exciting as a baseball fan.
Yeah, and the point, like the point you made about the Brewers, like I hate to, not because you're absolutely right what you said. It's like I hate to agree because it's the blue in me, like the Cubby blue in me, like she's I didn't see it coming. Like Pat Murphy and what he's done with that team has been nothing short of great. And like when you talk about the Braves, I just think the Braves issue, like man, they just got a healthy rotation. I think it's just health.
Yep.
And it's like I don't know who's doing the strength and conditioning down there, but it's like literally it feels like their starting rotation is either they're on the IL or they're just done. Like if that's what it feels like. And to them not to be in the postseason seems, given their history, seems odd.
Yep.
Because I believe that certain teams have to be in the playoff because like interest or things of that nature.
Right.
But like to the point about the Pirates, I thought about this and I said, and this is one I looked at it and said, if you're Paul Skeens and you're out there just potentially being a Cy Young, being in contention to win the Cy Young, and you can't and your team can't muster essentially it feels like the offense just goes flat when he's on the mound. And I think that's what kind of makes me believe that like in the offseason, do the Pirates entertain trading Paul Skeens? Because I feel that I look at their roster and I go, if they want to, and I'm not trying to encourage, but I think because we talked about this during the trade deadline, like maybe they should trade Paul Skeens, not because he's terrible, but I think if you put him on a contending team, you put him somewhere where games matter, like respectfully, like Pittsburgh, I know your owner's terrible. I know everything's terrible there. But I feel that if you put him in a situation where he pitches meaningful games, I think like he's an X factor. And I don't know, but I agree with you on that. I don't know, like the one team that I would say I don't say I had expectations like with the Baltimore Orioles.
Mm.
And I really like the job that they did. It just somehow like I like they got a nice young base there. Like they got Adley Rutschman, they got Gunnar. Like they have a nice young, future there. It's just that maybe when you're in the AL East, I guess when you got Toronto, you got New York, and everybody above you is pretty good. I get it, and then.
Uh-oh. It's just me.
I'm here. So I hit a button.
I was like, oh no, it's just me.
It's like oh, like do. No, I hit a button. It's like I said, keep your hands away from the keyboard. That's the lesson of the day. But it's one of those things. Oh, we have a special guest. I think you'd have been fine. But I came back. But yeah, those are my kind of thoughts. And like I say, anytime baseball postseason October, things are going to be fantastic. Now, shifting gears, we got to talk about the NFL. I forgot the name of the league for God's sake. But I'm just going to start here, and then we can circle the wagons after it. Listen, this Detroit. I got to talk about the Detroit Lions here. A lot of people said like week 1, oh man, they missed Ben Johnson. I'm like, yeah, when you face the Green Bay Packers, who's a pretty good defense, it's like 2 new coordinators, and you're facing a defense last season that was arguably top 10 in a lot of cases. And then they add some guy named Micah Parsons. And so somehow they got better defensively. They were going to struggle. And then the Chicago Bears came to town and like, oh, yep, that looks about right. Like Jahmyr Gibbs, Monty, this looks about right. And going to Baltimore, and I'm like, and what I did was, and here's the thing, I betted people are like, I didn't bet the line, I bet the +4 because I said Detroit can hang around because respectfully, I've seen Baltimore's defense.
Yeah.
And I was like, I respect Lamar Jackson. I respect Derrick Henry. That defense, I simply can't respect because it just feels like in spots where even when they played Cleveland, like even though the score didn't reflect it, like Cleveland was able to get some yards on it. It feels like Buffalo obviously got yards on it. But I'm curious to get your thoughts on the Lions and games, or what games kind of caught your eye in week 3, players, or anything that caught your eye week 3 in the NFL as well.
Yeah. Go Lions, man. Yeah, week 1 for the Lions was a little rough, but like you said, Green Bay is a good team. It is a good team defensively, offensively. It was game 1, week 1, away against our biggest ops. Of course that was going to be rough. Our defense was the issue that game. I think that all season our defense is going to be the weakest part of our game. But I definitely can see, we've already seen a difference from week 1 to this week, this past Monday. The Lions are exciting. There was all that talk of Ben Johnson being gone, and are we going to be able to perform offensively like we did last season? And I'm pretty sure we've kind of proven that we can. It's exciting, and yeah, our players are doing what they need to. Jared Goff is calm, cool, collected. He's game planning from the moment he steps onto the field, all throughout that huddle, then down to the snap. And it's nice to have a quarterback that you can trust and that you can feel the confidence in himself, which makes you have confidence in him. And you can tell that the players also can feel that confidence. But yeah, our running backs, our O-line, everything's falling into place. Rough week 1. It is what it is. We move on and you learn from it, and they definitely have. Monday's game, I saw a stat that was Detroit is 9-1 when playing on a night where the moon is in the phase of a waning crescent. And so on Monday night, the moon was a waning or waxing crescent. It's waxing crescent. And so they are now 10-1 on waxing crescent moon. So that is awesome. But so it's fun watching the Lions, but I think the NFL in general is kind of exciting right now. Josh Allen's doing his thing. You've got the Chargers and the Colts. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think the Colts are obviously Super Bowl contenders, but I believe that they can actually make it to the Super Bowl. I think that we are going to see, Indiana Jones throw in some balls and Jonathan Taylor running down that line to win a Super Bowl. I really can see it. I think it'd be an exciting thing for football fans. But on the other side, you've got the Chargers, who are also 3-1. Obviously, the Bengals are well, I would say that the Bengals are decent. I've never had high expectations for them, but in terms of the NFC or AFC North, the Ravens are going to come back. Browns, I don't have super high expectations for them, but when do you ever? And then, I think that the NFC North is obviously really exciting. Green Bay's leading right now. Lions, I think, can kind of get it back together. We've got the Vikings, which have, a decent offense, and I think it's going to be a tight race, at least within that division. But then you've got the Bucs leading the NFC South and Baker doing his thing, and that's really exciting. He's setting records and making history in Tampa Bay, and as a self-proclaimed Baker Mayfield fan club resident, I I like to see him succeed. So yeah, I think that so far this season has there's been some aspects that I think that we've kind of already expected, where the Browns kind of not doing completely well, but then other times they beat Green Bay. So I think that so far so good of this season. I don't know. I'm excited to see how the rest of it pans out, but yeah, my top contenders right now, I'm really watching the Colts. I think they're going to be a team that's going to stay consistent throughout the stretch of the season, and yeah, give some teams a run for their money.
Yeah, and listen, I'm a Baker Mayfield fan, but not twice a year. That's what I always say. Like twice a year, I'm like, I can't do it, Baker. Like I get it, but it's like, listen, when you play a certain team that's in Georgia, I'm like, it's like it just feels with that situation. It just feels that it's similar to the situation in Detroit, where it just feels like two number one overall picks leaving their teams and finding success elsewhere. It's a great story. They found a franchise that believes in them, and the way that I saw something with Jared Goff, and he talked about like the trade, and they had Brad Holmes, and they had that was the first year head coach, first year GM. That was the first major move they made, was trading away easily the best quarterback in their franchise history, and sending him to the Rams to get Jared Goff. And Jared talked, he almost teared up, and like how they welcomed him, and like how Dan Campbell said, "That's my guy." And it's like, and I feel like in Tampa, that's what's going on. Even though I don't want to give credit, but it feels like in Tampa, he feels comfortable. Like for the first time, it feels like Baker left somewhere, like they chose. Like I hate to say it, but like you chose who over Baker, and it's like I didn't understand it. I still don't understand it, and like Joe Flacco ain't gonna be playing quarterback next. Like you had a long-term guy in Baker, and you went, and then it all went downhill. But let's see. I got a couple of comments to catch up on here. We got John saying, I say Otani because he's an all-around great player. He can hit and pitch, and that's really awesome. And then he's talking about the Braves issue is that our head coach, Brent Snittaker, like I have to be careful with names because it can get real tricky. It'd be a downhill slope. Like there could be some legal ramifications if I don't get it right. Like whoa, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I gotta go. For the Braves, we will be back next year. And we got Anita Murphy doing a little wave in the hand thing.
That's my mom.
Oh, hi, Mom. How are you? I was like, I said to myself, I think that's her mom. Like, I don't speculate. Like, when I see two last names are the same, I'm like, there might be some relation. So, hi, Mom. Thank you for watching. And your daughter's doing fantastic. She's doing good. And listen, I apologize for leaving her by. I apologize for the impromptu thing. If I have to apologize to anybody in the chat, it's going to be you, Mom. I apologize. My hands are, everybody can see them. And so we had Christy and then saying hi. And we had, I'm not a fan and all the Buck stuff. Although a little true hurts my ears. Listen, like I get it, but it hurts my ears too. But listen, I got to give credit to Baker, and she meant of and not and. And let's see, everybody say hi to one another. And let's see. Oh, this is a great call. Let's see. Is it Mom could pass when your sister beautiful? Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Mom could pass for your sister beautiful.
Where I get my looks from.
Yeah. Because I was pretty sure America. I'm like, I wasn't sure. Like I gotta be the listen, the CJ and me is like I have that facts. And if I don't have it, I'm like I don't speculate because assumption and then it's all good, So shout out, like I said, thank you, man. Like I said, you're doing great. Listen, once again, apologize for the little, I exited out that film. See what had happened with. But I think, but going back to, I guess the one takeaway the takeaways I had from week 3 is that it made me like the backup quarterback situation. I've always called it the Noah effect, where you got to have at least two of everything that's pretty good. Whether it's running backs, quarterbacks, like tight. If you have at least two, one could be a superstar, one could be like, okay, that's pretty good too. And I think for quarterbacks, and I think if we learned anything from that Cincinnati and Minnesota game, like people say, oh, like listen, it's Minnesota's defense. They were bouncing back after a loss, so they had something to prove. Jake Browning looked all kind of out of sorts. That happens, and then Carson Wentz, I don't want to give this man credit, but fine, okay, Carson Wentz did great, but I was like, but so we learned about the back and forth, and then we also kind of learned that I go back to that the Bears Cowboys game, and I'm like, look, Dallas, I'm not saying Micah there or not made a difference, but it just kind of looked like the logic that with Jerry Jones trading, and people are like, oh, I hear people say, oh, you got to trade Micah and get value, which is good, but he's Micah Parsons. And understand you didn't want to pay him. You paid your offensive lineman, which is fine, not knocking it, but it's just I don't know. I get you got to say all the right things if you're Dallas, but his presence was his impact. How do you trade arguably the best linebacker in the football? How do you walk in the room? Because it's like this. It's like when the whole thing came with Myles Garrett, and I'm like, there's no way Cleveland's gonna trade Myles Garrett. It's all fodder. It's they're not gonna do it because two reasons. A, whatever you get back when you trade a star will never equal the value. Never. It's like driving a car off the lot. It immediately devalues the minute you drive it off the lot. That's what Myles Garrett, what do you give? Will you give up for Myles Garrett? What's the package? Would have been similar to the one that Micah, that Green Bay gave up to get, I don't know. But that's an example of if the Cleveland Browns of all franchises said, we're going to keep our defense, our multi-time defensive player of the year. If they're telling you we'll pay him, and knowing that there's a myriad of issues going on with the Browns, if they said we'll pay him, that tells me everything I need to know about how Jerry Jones operates. It tells me that Cleveland, listen, Kevin Stefanski has that team competing. And I'll say this, and I'll justify this. I didn't mean to get on the podium here, but it's like with Kevin Stefanski, and I always defend Kevin Stefanski and say he didn't want that Watson guy. He didn't want him. You could tell that the offense that Kevin Stefanski wants to run, Deshaun didn't. Mm-hmm. And so the job that he's doing, and listen, if Cleveland struggles the way we feel, he may lose his job, but he won't be out of a job for long. Because I feel that good about him given the cards he was kind of handed. And then John is like, I can't believe the Cowgirls traded Mike. Listen, we can't either.
To the Packers.
That's what, when I saw the trade, I'm like, this is not real. No. And then I said, and I saw oh man, they must have gave up a king's ransom, a king or queen's ransom. I look at it and go, oh, 2 first rounders and Kenny Clark. Even Madden, Madden wouldn't even do that trade. They showed it. What Madden's man, something is the bar be green. It was kind of in the yellow. Man, are you sure? And it's it feels like they should have added maybe a second for a second or because I'm not saying run all your trades through Madden, but if you're Jerry, get somebody younger than you, Jerry, to kind of run that.
It's better than having him do it. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a great deal, Jerry. No. But kind of looking ahead to week 4. Thursday night football. Interesting is the NFC West matchup. I put up the preview on the social, Twitter, TikTok, and and all that. And to me, this is an interesting game. The NFC West getting like, 3 of the 4 teams won. Like, if you're if you're a Rams fan, you can just turn away. Especially if you have the Rams like plus 3.5. All you wanted, like, you could take the block kick and you're gonna look like a winner. But like Jordan Davis was standing on business, which is the name of the episode. I put standing on business Detroit. This is Detroit style. That was Philly style. What Jordan Davis did. He's like, I'm never gonna do this again in my life. And my guy was out there chugging, and I'm like, oh no. And I'm thinking about the Rams, like the plus 3.5 betters. And I'm like, maybe you should that alt bet, because man, that didn't like all he had to do was just late. Like, nah, it's principle. It's about principle. Let Jordan Davis get the touchdown. Listen, if you bet it like the plus 3.5, yikes. That's all I'm gonna say. I feel bad for it. But shifting gears, get your thoughts on if you have any thoughts on the Seahawks Cardinals matchup. Seattle just mollywopping the Saints. Always love to see that. I'm not gonna say I smiled a bit after the way we played against Carolina, but I needed a pick me up. And Seattle, you didn't let me down. Spencer, that's the future. And and then we got Tyler Shugg. Like, he didn't look great either. Like, but listen, I smiled a bit. I'm like, every time I think, man, we're bad, I'm thinking, man, we have the Saints in our division. And then I smile a bit. I smiled, and then I eat a nice chicken Caesar salad, and I calm down. and I'm like, I feel good. But I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on this Seattle Arizona game. I looked at the game. I think it was essentially, it's like a pick me game. It's like 1.5. I think was Seattle was playing last time I checked.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to get your thoughts on the game and any other games, like week 4 games or anything that you're looking forward to in week 4.
Yeah, so I think we'll have a fun Thursday night football game to watch. I'm obviously leaning towards the public. I'm going with Seattle. I think that their passing game is going to be dynamic tonight. Cardinals' pass defense has been kind of underwhelming, so I think that the Seattle Seahawks can kind of take advantage of that. I know that obviously the Cardinals lost James Conner, so that's going to be a little bit devastating. Hopefully that Trey Benson can kind of step up and give them some yards in a touchdown or two. But I think it'll be fun. I do think Seattle's going to cover. I put my money on that -1.5, but I'm not your financial advisor, so do as you please. But that's where I'm going tonight. I'm excited for Sunday. The Lions are playing the Browns. I think the Browns have a fantastic defense. Jared Goff even said so himself. So, I think that we're going to see a battle of a good defense versus a battle of a good offense. And so I'm excited. Obviously, it was a former Browns supporter, choosing my words lightly, and a Lions fan. So yeah, that'll be exciting. What about you? What games are you looking forward to?
I don't know. That sounds like that should go on a resume. Former, like, yes, I see you're in the meeting. I see you were a former Brown fan. I see.
Tell me how you navigated difficult times in your support of that team. Oh, I've got several examples.
Like, listen, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to do an interview, but I actually brought a PowerPoint, and this, like, I felt like my words would not do justice. But when you talk about week 4, like, to me, the big game, like, there's a lot of big games, but like, if you told someone, like, before the season started, that when the Baltimore Ravens faced the Kansas City Chiefs, if you told anyone that both teams would be 1-2, they'd laugh you out the building, and that the loser of this game will be 1-3, they'd be like, "No, you're joking." And like, no, we're pretty serious, and that has a lot to do with schedule. But listen, even though I think David Worthy's coming back for the Chiefs, I just think Baltimore's offense can cover up that defense to a certain extent. Because listen, when you have Lamar, you have Derrick Henry, like Zay Flowers didn't really, listen, if you bet on Zay Flowers, like listen, I did too in the yards. We're not going to get into that. It's not personal feeling. But, like, did it hurt a little? Yes, it did. But they have a great offense in Baltimore. Defensive issues. My issue with Kansas City is, it's like, look, they didn't look great against the Chargers week 1. And yes, and they beat a Giants team that essentially beat themselves. And there's a reason why Russell Wilson is on the bench. Probably listen to his wife in the headphones. Just listen. If your wife is here, I'd be jamming too. Like, I get it. Maybe Travis does the same thing. Listen to, little 1989 Reputation. I don't know what spec, I don't know what phase, Kelsey is, Like, I think I did mine. I think mine said like 1989. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But anyway, respectfully disagree. I have a lot for the record. I have a lot of Taylor Swift on the Spotify. But I look at the situations in that game and I go, like, who would it be worse to go 1-3? If Kansas City goes 1-3, and they're in a division with Denver, they're in a division with the Chargers. You go and you're already down a divisional loss. And listen, in Los Angeles, they've beaten all 3 teams early on. They beaten all 3 AFC West teams. And I'm like, they have the biggest upper hand in history. If you go 1-3, I'm not saying panic, but I think Baltimore understands the urgency more than, because I've not been impressed with Kansas City's offense. Even since last season, their defense carried them to that Super Bowl, and it showed in the Super Bowl. I don't know how if you told people, like, man, the loser of this game goes 1-3, and these are 2 teams, like, one team's a Super Bowl contender in Baltimore, and one team's been there and done that, and one of those 2 teams might have to hit the panic button at 1-3. I don't know. To me, that's a game I'm looking out for. And another, and then I think in the chat someone brought up Washington, the Falcons, and John said, "Oh, you get mollywopped by the Falcons. The man are going to be the RB1 scary tier and JD5." Now, I read somewhere that I think Jaden Daniels had to run through tests. I think, so I'm not 100% sure, but like, this Falcon team, it takes on a roller coaster. We not outscored, but we beat Carolina in every statistical category, and we couldn't get in the red zone. That's about right. That's about right. Like, people are like, oh, you're not upset? No, that's on par. And the kicker who made all those kicks against Minnesota, yeah, he missed 2. So I'm like, and then we signed another kicker. I'm like, where are we getting this money? It's like, listen, all I say this: sign Ray Finkel, make sure the laces are out. Your problem is solved. Literally, he missed that field goal. Listen, in that Super Bowl, he blamed Dan Marino because the laces weren't out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ray Finkel's life could have changed if he kicked the game-winning kick in the Super Bowl. Poor Dan screwed him over. To use a wrestling term, had the Montreal screw jobbed him, and then now Ray Finkel had to do Einhorn. If you haven't watched the movie, just watch it. If you haven't, I'm upset. But, and then see, John shouts out Jordan Davis, the former Bulldog, and the Browns wanted Deshaun, so the Falcons couldn't get him. No, even with that, and that's a good point. And I'm upset with our organization because we had a guy in Matt Ryan, and that was to me, 2 quarterbacks got slapped in the face: Baker Mayfield and Matt Ryan. Because it's like, what did they do? Like, Matt Ryan led you to a Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield gave Cleveland hope. Like, man, maybe someday we could get to the Super Bowl. When you put talent around, you build God forbid you put an offensive line around a quarterback, it could do wonders. Like, who knew? Who knew? I'm not a big fancy lawyer. I'm not a big city lawyer. I'm just, if you do it, like, build around your quarterback. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, the whole Watson thing, it really messed with 2 franchises.
Yep.
Because we had to literally we had to go through Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota because of, and ironically enough, we might have to face a lot of mixed emotions for this guy. And listen, and folks, there's a Monday night doubleheader. Now, listen, when I do previews, I do preview the Monday night football. And if you watch any of the preview, hope you know Twitter and TikTok, there's underscore Brown, I put them on social. I try to give positive stats. Now, I'll let you guys decide the voting, and I might put it as a poll on Twitter. Like, do y'all really want to preview the Jets and the Dolphins game? Like, I'm just asking. I'll put in the same effort and time, but me, I'm like, I'd rather put that same energy into Cincinnati and Denver. Because like Cincinnati lost because listen, Minnesota's defense is great. Minnesota, but like the best thing about that game is going to be the Dolphins jerseys. And when we start talking about jerseys, we lost the plot. We've jumped the ship. That's all I'm saying. We've jumped the shark. That's all I'm saying. But I might put it as a legitimate poll. Like, what games do you guys want me to preview for Week 4? And I'll preview. Because usually I do Thursday, and I do Thursday, Sunday night, and Monday night. But if there's any other game, I'll put it out there on the Twitter, and you guys can decide. Because I looked at this slate and I'm like, oh my god, I don't like to do like back to back, but I'm like, do I really have to do the Jets? Like, imagine, like, I guarantee you, I'll tell you what game Troy Aikman and Joe Buck aren't going to be calling. It's going to be that game. Like, you get it to Fowler and Orlando. You give it to them. You give it to them. Yeah, we're good. But it's Miami. Yeah, but Denver doesn't sound so bad after all. But it's like the lesser of two evils theory. It's like, if you don't like both things are terrible, but one thing sounds less terrible than the other. All right, so I'm just saying Denver's pretty good. Yeah, they got things going on there. Miami, yeah. Will Smith sung about it, and they have the heat. It's all great. Unrivaled basketball. The women's gonna be. We're good. And John says the Jets are gonna vote because the Dolphins don't have Ray Fick. Listen, and here's the thing: Younghoe Koo got signed by the Giants, and I'm like, that's how I know. I'm like, you know what? I'm on vacation, so I'm like, this guy gets the. We had. By the way, we already have a kicker on the practice squad, and we signed another kicker. So I'm like, so it's like, are we just having open tryouts, or, I'd rather, like the movie Bender Like Beckham. I'd rather have her from that movie than like, listen, because she carried that soccer. If you watch the movie, she carried that team. They doubted her, but I'm like, no, I'd rather have her. You know what? Listen, Airbud, anybody. I just need someone to put the ball through the uprights. Because listen, like for the Browns, like Andre Smith, like they were going to run him out of town. Like and all of a sudden, he got that gusto and he kicked it, and they beat the Green Bay Packers.
They sure did.
I'm like, listen, I'm just saying, Airbud, anybody else can do that too. But so those are the so now in this part of the show is where I'm supposed to be calm, but it's probably not going to happen. But it's Browns big bets. I thought of the segment, but I don't know where I came up with it. I have the amazing Hailee Murphy here with me, and she knows her stuff. She's by the way, follow her for everything. Like I say, my favorite attorney. It should be y'all's favorite attorney. I can't say how much I love what she does, and I love her as a person, all of that. So I'll say it on camera because I can say it off camera, but I'll say it on camera because I need it. So think about that, America. So if I say it, there's truth to it. Am I the most trusted man in the business? I don't know. That's y'all vote, democracy. But looking at college football, I always have three. Last week, America, we went 2-1 because listen, I told you Michigan State was going to cover against USC. Plus 17.5 was just too high of a number for me. Bam, we cashed that. I did Auburn, Oklahoma. We got by the skin of our teeth with 6.5. We got by with 7. So Illinois, I don't know what happened. Like, I knew Indiana was good, but 60. Oh, man. I turned that game. I'm like, yeah. Unless Illinois gets some help from some actual Bears, the Chicago Bears, yeah. But so now, And we got somebody in the chat here. We got Millie Mills and Laster. What's up, bro? How are you? And here's and I changed it up this week. I have a dog. I have an under, and I have one as a favorite. So I said maybe if I change it, the variety of the spice of life. Not saying it's gonna work, but so we have TCU traveling to face Arizona State. Somehow TCU is the underdog 3.5. And like I did, I feel similarly about Michigan State and USC last week, how I feel about this game. It's like, I think TCU could cover and potentially win. I think TCU, like, hopefully their quarterback Josh Hoover is okay, and he's great. He took kind of a hit at the end of last week's game. And listen, they're 9th in team yards per game, and defensively they're 6th in team opponent third downs. I like this team. So, like, Arizona State, like, you listen, they get to the quarter, they're top 25 in the nation. But I like TCU, like, to potentially cover the 3.5 and potentially win on the road. So it's kind of how I like it. I like it. We'll go. You can feel free to chime in, Hailee, anytime you want. And because my next game, this is the under. And this one, I'm like, there was a game where I was shaky on. I'm like, I had to pick one, the under. So we got Oregon traveling to Penn State, and to me, it feels weird to say that this is a Big Ten game. I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna say, I understand realignment makes money. I get it. But like when I do a map of America, hey, where's the Big Ten? I'm thinking in the heartland of America. I'm thinking Illinois. I'm thinking Indiana. Oh no, also there's Oregon and I'm like, wait, what? And it's like look.
Listen.
Like UCLA? I'm like, come on.
There is no reason for me to have to watch Michigan State start a college football game at 11 p.m. at night. There is no reason. That is not Big Ten football. That is not what we stand for. We stand for reasonable bedtimes. We are hardworking people. We are tired. We want to go to sleep at reasonable times. I was not happy. However, the game was great. I was okay with the outcome. But yeah, no, West Coast teams do not belong in the Big Ten. I will stand on that and continue.
Listen, if that becomes merch, I will wear it because I'm like when because being the SEC guy, being a Gators fan, which I know you don't have to tell me. I've already donated money to the trustees. I'm like, listen, get them out of here. I'm like, listen, no, I'm not paying you a check. I'll bring a briefcase. I'll do you one better. I'm like, where'd you get the money from? You don't worry about that. You don't call in some favors. People owe me money from years. I went around going, bam, bam, started collecting, knocking on doors. But like, I feel that way. So when we got Oklahoma and Texas, I'm like, okay, that makes sense geographically. I can accept that. But like to your point, when I think of Big Ten, I'm like, I gotta stay up 11, East Coast. No. I'm like, I expected to watch that like 3:30 at the latest, 7 o'clock at the latest. If you're on like the Big Ten, the Big Ten game of the week, like NBC, like I don't mind that. But you're asking me to stay up to watch Big Ten football at 11:30? You'd have lost your mind. You're like, I'm just saying, if that becomes merch, I wouldn't be upset. And then they'll talk about, well, only the SEC matters, though. I don't know, man. Like, I agree. Like, the SEC biased me, but I don't know. The Big Ten, like, listen, what drags down the Big is like imagine being UCLA. Like, man, how down do you have to be? Like that, like the Nico, like he was in Tennessee, and listen, all his dad had to do was just shut his mouth. Like, if your kid's making money, like your kid's making more money than a lot of people in America right now, who's working 9 to 5. And you want to go back, demand more money? Like, Josh Heupel said no. And then Josh Heupel said, Joey Aguilar is like, and I bet you Nico watches that. He has to stay up and watch that. But he doesn't have to stay up and watch Tennessee play. No, but yet, it's like, the moral of the story is that, listen, if you're Nico's dad, man, Tennessee's looking pretty good right now than UCLA. That's, like, you can't even beat teams in the Big Ten. And you're gonna, Jesus, how are you gonna beat Northwestern? Like that's I shouldn't like. I guarantee you in that game, Northwestern's going to be favored. I'm like, if it's not by at least double digits, I'd be shocked. But and let's see, your mom coming in clutch saying, "I got you on the merch."
She makes the best.
Thanks, Mom.
She makes the best merch.
Like I'm being like, if you make some merch, you tell your daughter, and I will pay. Like I'm a big guy. Like I'm wearing my Tippy Time shirt. And
I didn't even notice that. It's Tippy time.
And it might be some time. Listen, if that becomes merch, you tell your amazing daughter, and I will pay the funds to support the merch. I will. So we all heard it. I can't back out of it. I'm a man of my word. I want the merch because it's a legitimate thing. If you're in the Big Ten, I should never have to stay up past 7 o'clock to watch a big like no. So thanks, Mom. I think I can call you Mom. Come on the clutch, and there we go. And then it's who else? It's don't let Clemson Clemson. Oh man, does the ACC want Clemson? Like that's the better question. Like bro, like Dabo, man. Listen, Dabo, you got morals, you got standards, and that's great. But man, oh man, Syracuse. Oh man. And in my mind, I said it when the spread came out. I said that I think Syracuse could cover. You're like, oh no, that's silly. Like, no, I've seen Clemson. I'm good. Yep. I've seen Dabo. I've seen K. Klubnik. He ain't turning around. And let's see. And we see John saying Hailee might have Tiffany Stratton. I do get those vibes.
That's my girl.
John, John, who do you remind me of, John? I'm putting you on the spot with the question. So I think I have a lot of. I got how many wrestling shirts I have? Probably too many. That's where the budget goes. Like there's bills, and then there's the WWE merch thing. I'm not gonna say how much of the pie chart it takes for legal reasons, but it if I see something I like, I grab it. And then your mom saying absolutely, like Mom, if you make the merch, like I said, I'm a 4X. I like 5X for space. I'm a tall 6'4" husky jumper, so I'd absolutely buy your merch. Because it's like, since we're on the topic, like, I don't know if it's true, so I like to address it. Like, when selling, like, does she sell, like, or maybe I'm confusing it, like cookies or something? Am I, because on your IG, I stop and go, I see the cookies, and naturally, the husky man me stops. Like, yes. I see cookies, and I'm like, man, how do I get those shipped to me? Because I would pay.
She is
like,
so
listen,
good. She makes your mom, like, cakes. Cookies, she does wedding cakes, she does everything, but yeah, she's so talented and so good.
So Mama Murphy, listen, if you do the merch, I got you. Say less. All you support all of you. If I find out you don't in this chat, I will go to your house first. Anyway, maybe if I have the energy.
Shout out my mom. Go follow her Instagram. It's D's Custom Creations 313.
Yeah, wait, I'm gonna write that down.
She's the best. For all your baking and creative needs.
Like this, if like I would pay the shipping or whatever to get her, I would legit pay the shipping because I see the cookies and stuff and I go, yes. Yeah, how long they would last around me? I'm like, are you going to share? Sharing's overrated. Anyway, sharing is great. Sharing is caring, but do I care to share? It's the better part. But let's see. I can do a biz for you later. Oh, that's good stuff. Oh, come on, we're not bringing that guy's name up on this show. I had to bring up Deshaun's name on this show. And I got to bring up Jesus. Dear Mr. Brown, we heard some names on your show. Like, great. That's another meeting. I'm just going to walk out. and then Millie Mills, shout out to moms. Absolutely. Love your mom. Love that your mom's getting the love.
Me too. And the best.
And we were talking about Oregon and see, you see what happens is every time we do, it's like, well, like what were we talking about? Like, oh yeah, it's right here. Like, why do you write things down? There's a reason. Like it's like I said, it's the CJ in me. I'm used to writing like the hardest thing I had to do. Like they say, oh, this is how you write a brief, and I'm like, well, oh, what? And then it's like, oh, that's how you do it. And I'm like, it was like that's one of the hardest things that I've written thousands of papers. They said write a brief, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about this now. Like, how much did I have to put in? Like, one of the like, cause we had to take for criminal justice, we had to take a law course, and I said, well, I think I took family law and I took criminal law, like as electives, and it was like I love those classes. The writing stuff, I don't know. That teacher's like that, like class usually in like 12:30. No, you can stay until 1 o'clock. Do I though? Like I've been up since a while, teach. But anyway, we're talking about more. We're talking about a lot of things here, and that's what makes the show great. And then your mom, hearts to you as well, mom. Like I say, go follow her mom. Like I say, if I can get those cookies shipped and delivered, I will pay anything. I'm not going to say the amount because people are watching and people are going to be nosy about this, but I will pay. And then Millie Mills asked the question, Hailee, is the team on your hat your team? I'll let you answer it.
One pride, baby, go Lions.
Hashtag one pride. That's how we do it around here. Some teams have hashtag no pride. So I'll let you figure out what teams are that way. I can't legally say. But if your team watching in a certain part of the country, the same state I'm in, maybe that's, you can pick which team. I don't care. Let's say 2 of the 3 can fit the hashtag no pride. I'll let you figure out. But so we're on so for Oregon traveling to Penn State at number handwriting number 5. Yeah, number 5 Penn State. And I debated back and forth. And I said, I'm going to take the under. It's under 52.5. Usually, like, I know what we saw from but I look at both of these defenses are pretty good. I know the opponents aren't ideal, but I still feel that, like, no matter the opponent, I think these two defenses are pretty good. Like, to say Oregon has a good defense is saying a lot. And that's because of the work Dan Lanning's done out there and the job he's put in defensively. And so in their quarterback situation, like their quarterback 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. So like Dante Moore is doing a great job out there. And Penn State, listen, they allow 5.5 points so far. That leads the nation. And they have Nick Singleton, they have Allen in the backfield. I don't think we'll see the competitiveness, but I think under 52.5 feels right. That's the one where I don't know where if both teams find the passing game somehow, it could be a different situation. But I like the under 52.5. So last but not least, I had to go SEC because I like a good late night game. That's why I did Michigan State USC. I like a good, but I saw the late night slate and I'm like, I'm not too happy about it. So I chose Kentucky at South Carolina. This to me was hard. I like Carolina at 5.5 because it's not like Kentucky is. If you don't have one quarterback, if you don't have a quarterback, you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. And Kentucky's starting a redshirt freshman at quarterback. They're 111th in the nation in team passing yards per game, a little over at 170. South Carolina, Lenore Sellers, they're 44th. And then Millie Mills, Kentucky. Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah, listen, Millie, I stand on business on this show. And so, listen, Kentucky. Well, like Millie, listen. Do you think I like talking about Kentucky? Like, I'll put it this way. Let me settle this. Florida, Kentucky. The rivalry means more in basketball than it does in football. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't mean nothing on the football field, but it's like this. When we talk about rivalries, like I'll put it this way. When I'm trying to give a great, like when Michigan plays Michigan State. Would it matter more to you on the football field or on the basketball court?
Honestly, football, because we beat them more often in basketball. So win against Michigan matters, I think, for me personally, more in football.
Yeah, I agree with it. Like Michigan, Ohio State, like no one, like let's watch that great Michigan, Ohio State basketball. Like respectfully. Football.
We know Tom Izzo's going to wipe the floor with those bums.
Yeah, listen, hey, Tom, I learned recently. I had no idea that Tom Izzo played with Steve Mariucci. I did not know that.
Yes.
And I'm like, I forgot. I said Izzo
Northern Michigan.
too. So Izzo's probably giving Jonathan Smith some plays. Like, man, I don't know. Like, you listen. You got Aiden going here. If you take Aiden and you kind of shift, I'm not saying Jonathan Smith is calling Tom Izzo. I'm just saying when I saw that, I'm like, Michigan State's doing good football, and I'm like, Tom Izzo's doing it all. Like, listen, Clarissa explains it all. Tom Izzo explains it all. That's. Here's the thing. It's like you should pick Kentucky, South Carolina. Kentucky's gonna blow, but you should have picked Georgia and Ben. No, but see, here's the thing. Here's the thing, John, and I understand where you're coming from. But like, if you're Kentucky, you're 111th. I understand the point, and I knew this game was going to cause conflict, and that's why I did it, because I could have went Georgia and Alabama, but I like Georgia. It's just a matter of if Alabama shows up, because Kalen DeBoer, they're talking about his job. He's got to show up this game. Like, if they get blown out the water, even if it's Georgia, like, there's already talked about his job and Kalen DeBoer. And when you take him for a guy like Nick Saban, like, whoever took that job was going to have the most pressure to do it. So like that's my point counterpoint to that. And then your mom, I guess, answered the question of football hands down. Mom, you're on point. You're on point tonight. You're on point. and then Millie laughing because Millie gets it. Millie gets it. Now, and then go Dogs, glory. I can't put that on the show. And so like legally, I shouldn't have put up that Georgia thing for as long as I did. But so the 3 picks, TCU plus 3.5, under Oregon, Penn State, minus 5.5 for South Carolina. Listen, hopefully we'll do well there, because I don't like. Listen, I knew Kentucky and South Carolina. Like, I knew people were gonna say, "Oh, you're picky. You pick it." Yeah, like I thought about Georgia and Bama, but my biggest thing with Georgia and Bama is, do I trust Alabama to cover, and do I trust Georgia? Do I trust Georgia to cover the spread, and do I trust Alabama to show up? That's the, like, if anything, I would have took the points, because like Georgia's offense is pretty good with Gunnar Stockton. Alabama's offense with there was too many. I was indecisive, but I said with Kentucky and South Carolina, I said South Carolina has to win. They're 0-2. They're 0-2 in the SEC. They need this win, and Kentucky's and they're facing a freshman quarterback. South Carolina has the Heisman Trophy candidate in Lenore Sellers. I'm going to trust South Carolina. Yeah, I'm going to trust South Carolina. Like, if you want to be safe, you can pick the money line, but I think they can beat them by more than 6. And that's like, I like starting a little controversy. And I'm like, no apology. But the thing is, so before we put a button, is there anything else you want to talk about, and any thoughts on anything you want to talk about?
No, but I did just get a notification. The Tigers are up 3-1. Javi Baez had an RBI. Jahmai Jones had a home run, and Winsel Perez had a home run. So far, so good for the night. Hopefully I can be a fan of baseball tonight after this game. But so far, the game of baseball has not been a topic in this house the past couple of days. So
we love to see it. And then John, can we play Charbot with Hailee in the tag team with Alexa? Listen, here's what I say, and I don't think I've said this on camera. I think I do a wrestling show, and I think I've said it on there. Charlotte to me has become more likable. Like, and I got major heat when I ranked the 4 horsewomen, and I put Charlotte last. Like, oh, well, she's most accomplished. Listen, I was told that my opinion was to be expressed, because I like, of course, Becky. Of course, Becky's going to be in the top 2. Like, I don't have, like, forgot. I have more shirts of Becky Lynch, like the Beck's in business. Like, that's not even a question. Bailey 2, Sasha Banks 3. Charlotte to me never appealed to me. Like she's great. Like, I like her run now. I like her with Alexa Bliss. Like, I never would have thought, said, man, I'm rooting for Charlotte. I'm like, You like people say you like yeah. And I got an argument on social media with someone who and this is true. Like when the first episode of Raw came out on Netflix, CM Punk faced Seth Rollins, and they asked like your favorite match. I say, well, I enjoyed that match. Somebody had the nerve to say, oh, you're a CM Punk fan. I'm like, excuse me, sir, you don't watch the content on my stuff. Because if anything, I support Seth Rollins, and me and this person were going back and forth about it. And it's like, so anyway, so I'm a Seth and Becky supporter. So if I haven't made that clear on this show, it's clear and there's clarity. Okay. And then we have Millie talking about, I thought you were saying Kentucky. Man. I see you did it. You took the T and replied. I see what you did there. You did a lot of letter moving there. You did a lot of Wheel of Fortune stuff there. And so you got Millie. I only watch wrestling, but I do know about Jade. How is she doing? Or is she? I don't know. Look, that's gonna be a man. I'm gonna. In fact, there's a triple threat match this Friday with her, Tiffany, and Nia, and I have an idea of which way it's gonna go, and I want to be wrong. Like I usually say, "Oh, you want to be right." No, I want to be wrong.
Do you think Nia's gonna win?
No, a part of me feels they might give it to Jade. A part of me feels that way, and I don't like. I love Jade. Don't get me wrong. When she last fought Tiffany Stratton, like literally the pin, like was near the rope and had. I'm like, I love Jade, and I think that they're trying to, like, Jade is great in the ring, but I don't. To me, I would have felt better if she faced Julia for the U.S. Championship. I'd have felt better if you put the U.S. Championship on Jade and you build up a program and with potentially Tiffany Stratton for that. But listen, I don't write the show. I don't write the show because I really love Jade in the ring. I really do. And then John, no, we're not. I love Nia Jax. We're not calling her Nia Snack. I'm not saying. I'm not saying. Listen.
I love her. I love her. I was upset that because so obviously it's Tiffy time on my watch all the time. I love Tiffany Stratton, but I actually really loved Jade, and I thought that their fight would be really exciting. And I was really, really upset because I like Nia too. I really like just like her. So I'm new, obviously you know this, but I'm new into wrestling and WWE. So I like Nia's like persona. And I just like her character. I don't know. I think she's cool. And so I was really upset when she came in and just demolished the both of them. I was like, gosh, dang it. But I don't know. I love Tiffany and I would love for her to keep her belt.
Like I said, if I could be wrong. Like I said, that's why I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong because like the triple threat's already tricky. And I said to myself, unless they have something for Tiffany after this triple threat, I think Tiffany will retain. But I don't like if they give it to Nia, I wouldn't be upset. But if you give it to Jade, I'd have questions. It's all I'm saying. And I love Jade. But it just feels like I would rather her be in the US title picture first. And build her way up to the championship. And I'm not taking anything away from Jade. I really love Jade in the ring. So that's just something I always gonna do. And like Nia's gonna take the pin. I think either way I look at it, I don't think Tiffany takes the pin. I think either Tiffany wins or Jade wins, Nia takes the pin. I don't think Tiffany Stratton will either be the person pinning Nia or Jade, one of those two. Like, if anything. And then it's like, well, who's like I'll say, who's the new badass of wrestling? Is it Roman? No, I don't think it is. There's a couple of people. I guess you could go like, listen, I could say Seth Rollins because easily I'm not biased or swayed in any.
I love Seth Rollins. I love him. Becky Lynch obviously is my favorite. Obviously, it's Tiffany Stratton, and then but I do like I do like Becky Lynch, and I love Seth Rollins. And I like that little couple and their marriage, and I don't know, I enjoyed them.
It's such a great dynamic where see they tried it a couple years ago and it didn't work because they were faces, and I'm not thrilled by it. But however, you do the heel thing, I'm like, you can't stop these two, and then they both have belts.
Mm-hmm. It's just a fun storyline, you know.
But we could talk about wrestling all night. But anywho, Hailee, thank you for being here on the show. And before we get out of here, tell all the amazing people where they can find you and your amazing stuff.
You can find me on all social media platforms at the Hailee. That's Hailee with 2 E's, Murphy. Again, TheHailWemurphy.
So, folks, if you didn't get that spelling, you can just watch back to replay the episode again. So that's your challenge. If you didn't get it from that, I'm not. But before we get out of here, like, listen, subscribe to this episode, every episode of the Sports in the World podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Leave a review, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. Leave a review, 5 stars. You want to give me 4? That means I'm going to improve a little bit, but it makes me want to work a little bit harder. But just give me the 5 so I can take a coast on the situation. I'd still work harder, but if there were 6 stars, I'd shoot for that. But check out. I'll have previews for the games, and like I said, I'll put a question on Twitter, Instagram about what games you guys want me to preview, because I said I look at it like this is your show. You guys take the time out to listen to me, watch, and all that, and I appreciate it. So I said, I'll let you guys decide. Probably moving forward, what games, because I want to preview games that you guys will be interested in, and you can follow me Twitter and TikTok at Ladarius_Brown. You can follow me on Instagram, Ladarius_Brown. You can follow the Facebook page of the podcast, Sports in the World. Like I said, listen to wherever you can get it. Once again, and shout out to the MVP of the episode, Hailey's mom, MVP of the show. Your first MVP ever of any show I've done. I've done a lot of these episodes. First MVP award. So at the end of the day, so like I said, check out Mom's Thumb, and Mom, you got the merch, you got the cookies, and then and of course, Mom on brand. This is how we wrap up the show, America. Let's see, just change it. Just go ahead and change it to the Ladster. No, what? But listen, and like I said, if you guys want more Hailee on the show, the co-host, wink, wink, poke, poke, let me know as well. And then, by the way, listen, great show, go Lions. Listen, Mom, you get the assignment. I don't have to see you and your daughter. I see you make my job much easier. and friends and future friends, shout out to John. So thank you to John. Thank you to Hailee's mom, Millie. I think we had Christy. I want I'm doing the SNL outro thing like at the end of the show. I want to thank Carrie Underwood. I want to thank this guy. And so all of you in the chat, thank you so much. And we can make Hailee listen. We'll talk about it. Because listen, she always nails it. She always nails it to me. And sometimes y'all don't want to see me all the time, and I get it. I understand. So I need somebody else who does great as well. And so friends and future friends, until I see and or hear you again next time, I'm Ladarius. Be real, be you, be blessed, and be safe. For all of us here from the Sports and the World podcast.